Hello and welcome to another Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. Fair warning, folks. I got a little bit of the con crud while I was at Origins, so I'm feeling a little under the weather and I'm heavily medicated right now. But thankfully, I still feel good enough to go ahead and try and get through this lowdown breakdown about how everything happened at Origins. Before then, though, let's do the Week in Bryan. So personal life, personally, things are going well. Actually, things are going really well. I may have, we'll get into that in a minute. I might be hurting a little bit, but I still managed to get to the gym this week. Got some house finances taken care of. Natalie and I received the actual final court date for her disability hearing. It's not for a couple of months, but just knowing that day is set is huge. So big thumbs up there. Hobby-wise, I have not done anything. I was gone all week last week, and then when I got back, I was in sort of, crunch time rush mode to do other things. So I have not touched brush to model or tool to putty or anything of the like. Hopefully I will get some time here pretty soon to get into some hobbying, but for now, the dust, it settles on the hobby desk. Gaming wise, so I've got, since last time we spoke, I've actually got a decent amount. So a couple weeks ago, I had my buddy's birthday celebration where we played Twilight Imperium, and I snuck out a win. It was very early on that I realized that the random species that I was given was not a warlike species. It was not a species that was going to go out and conquer the world. I kind of figured that it was going to be, I'm going to need to be low-key. I've got the super necro virus on one side of me. I've got the war sun having fire death spirits to the other side of me. I'm going to need to be low-key and just sort of kind of glide under the radar. And I did a pretty decent job of doing that. I just sort of researched things to be able to travel and get away from my home planet because, chances were pretty good that it was going to get taken. And then just, see the galaxy and stay out of everyone's way while I kind of slowly racked up individual points. And at some point, if you're familiar with the board game, the central planet, Mechaton Rex, is very important for gathering kind of political power and victory points. Well, I managed to get out there, I managed to get it, and I held it for just a couple of turns, gathering points on it, and at one point, the beginning of the turn, everyone kind of realized that the victory point track is that I was pretty far out ahead, despite having a tiny fleet and not very many systems, and I was doing a good job of scoring these points. So I won't say I became enemy number one, but I definitely became, all right, we got to make sure that Bryan gets kind of, put in place. So they took Mechatol Rex from me. They, set me on my, kind of on the back foot. But at that point, the damage had already been done. I had set myself up to score a couple more points in the following turn, putting me firmly at 9 out of 10 points. And it was there that I knew I was going to stall out and someone else was going to win. It was just, they've well and blocked me. There's enough people coming up behind me with massive fleets and they're going to start scoring off of each other. I'm probably done for. And so in that turn, in the next turn, I went ahead and was like, well, might as well try and do some random card draws. So I did some card drawing. I found a thing that allowed me to take a relic from another player. I took a relic from another player. It gave me 3 of that color, allows me to turn it in for an artifact, and I drew that artifact, and the first line on that artifact is, you gain 1 victory point immediately. So I ended up winning in the middle of the round rather than waiting until the end of the scoring round, which, as my other players had told me, that had said, is several of them were going to be able to score enough to get to 10 as well on that same turn. But because I drew the artifact that gave me a victory point immediately, I won before the end of the game round, so they never had a chance to get that score. It was really cool. It's a fun game. It was since it was my buddy Nick's birthday. He is a savant at board games. Like, it is very hard to see him ever. I mean, other people win, but it's very rarely to see him ever not, like, be within arm's reach of a victory. And this was easily as he put it, the worst he's ever done. So comedy, but we had a good time, and I ended up squeaking out the win. Also got to. At Origins, which I'll talk about in the lowdown. I got to play a bunch of stuff there. Last night, actually, I got to do a play test of my friend's role-playing game, ongoing D&D game that's set in kind of a fantasy, like a fantasy version of like the Roman Empire. Or like a Gallic Roman Empire. It's cool. It's a very neat setting. I've just only started helping out with the testing on that, so we're kind of I'm kind of getting my feel for things. But it was good. It was nice to get out. Nice to see how other people run things. And I think that's it game-wise. I haven't even played any Xbox. It's just been Origins, and there's just been a lot going on. Work-wise, work never ends. I'm still working on some very cool stuff for the people over at Infinite Stories. Working on an adventure for the. I haven't put any words down on it in a couple of weeks because Origins got in the way, but I plan on getting that adventure done sometime next month for the World of Drashar. I am heavily invested now in the Monster Trainer's Handbook for Dungeon in a Box, making a bunch of cool magic items and things for them and new monsters, and I think I'm even doing some like spells and NPC blocks. It's going to be some very cool stuff. I have to go back and do some tweaking to the Xeogenesis campaign rules. Warzone's my baby. We talked a great deal about it at Origins because that's the booth I was at. So there's some forward progression on a few things there. I know that the big thing is we're still sort of forging forward on getting that fulfillment out the door. And then once that's done, once Alex has get those last packages out the door, we can get the retailers their stuff. We can think about setting up our own retail and start creating, the Wave 2 minis. I mean, they're already sculpted. We just need to put them into like mass production and start getting like the next waves play tested, and there's a lot. I'll explain a little more when we get into the orange lowdown, the Origins lowdown. Stuff for Evil Genius continues. We have started to really get some good concept art for the Intergalactic Heroes Player's Guide, which I'm very, very excited to show when we kind of nail what some of the alien origins are going to look like and we get final versions of like their color pictures and stuff. I should be able to start sharing those, and that should be super cool. I want to make sure that the aliens in Intergalactic Heroes are not just, oh, that's a dog, but an alien. Oh, that's a cow, but an alien. Oh, a lizard, but an alien. Like, just taking Earth tropes and turning them into anthropomorphic rubber suits, while it has its place, I think that it is a little bit of a suspension of disbelief. It kind of breaks that fourth wall a little bit when everything is just an Earth trope. So I know that some of the species in Intergalactic Heroes are going to be vastly different than what you would think you would find in an Earth or Terra situation. More on that in the future. I just put the wraps on some stuff for the next issue of Augment over at Catalyst. I have got sometime this weekend, I think I'm probably going to put the wraps on the card list for a card game that I'm helping with. Basically, I've got a ton of stuff. I'm never not in motion when it comes to work. But it feels good. It feels good. I've also got some other irons in the fire for future work on some things. The life of a freelancer never ends and is always exciting. We'll put it that way. All right, let's get into Origins. Ooh, before I get into Origins, I do want to do a little, it's not really an unboxing so much as I've known this is coming, and I want to show this off. This is definitely Warzone related. So you Warzone peeps, this is what you want to know. So the gentleman Andrew over at Gray Matter Gaming, we met them at Adepticon. They ended up making, they ended up having the perfect hard plastic templates for putting on the board for like smoke or gas grenades for Warzone Eternal. And while it wasn't a high, oh my god, necessity, there might be some players out there that needed them, and that was a resource that I did not have. So I picked up some of the clear plastic ones from them, and then sent other players over there. Sent players over to go pick their own up if they had forces that required them. And during that back and forth, the conversation I had with Andrew, he had said that he was like, "Well, I know you said that these aren't exactly what you want, but what could we do to make them perfect?" And I was like, "Well, after the show, I'll email you and let you know." And what I had asked for is same dimensions, but made out of maybe a floppy neoprene, so they're easier to store and easier to kind of like put under terrain and over things. And because in Warzone Eternal we have smoke, and then we also have like poison gas smoke, it would be kind of cool to have them have two different versions of them, one that shows smoke and one that shows gas. Well, he did us a solid and reached out a little bit before Origins and was like, "Hey, I'm going to send you some of the new thing that's now on the website." And it is active. It is on their website right now. So please, as a Warzone player, go over to Gray Matter Gaming and pick a set of these up if you plan on using gas grenades or smoke grenades in your table, because they're exactly what the doctor ordered. They are floppy neoprene. They're the right size for a smoke grenade. One side is smoke, and the other side is kind of this green gas. And I love this because that means at a glance, if I'm using both, if I'm using both of those types of things, I know which ones cause damage. I know which ones just block line of sight. They're very well made. They're like mousepad material, that mousepad neoprene. I don't know the cost on them, but I do know that he was extremely affordable at Adepticon, so I assume they're going to be extremely affordable out on his website. I will put the link up in the description of the video, but it is Gray Matter Gaming, all one word, gray with an A, .org. And the link I've got is going to send you straight to the product. But even if you just want to go over there and peruse the site and see all the other cool stuff that they've got, please do so. And if they've got a contact us or a something that allows you to leave a note on the order, let them know that I sent you. I don't have a discount code or anything like that, but I do want to show them that by making kind of I won't say a bespoke product, but making something that is Warzone affiliated is awesome, and that our community gives love where love is warranted. So please head over to Gray Matter Gaming, get some of these templates for your own table because they are perfect. All right, now let's get into Origins. So at the very beginning, I will say my Origins was eventful. It was a time of ups and downs. The first and foremost that of the Origins process is registration over there has gotten so much better. You're not waiting in 400-foot long lines. If you're an exhibitor, you walk up to the exhibitor kiosk. He hands you an envelope. It's got all your stuff in there. Bang, boom, Bob's your uncle. I mean, like it was a great experience. I love the Columbus Convention Center. It's laid out wonderfully. The new hotel, it's not really new. It's been there for a couple of years, but the hotel that's like right smack dab attached to the convention center is super convenient. So like in the middle of in the middle of everything, you can be like, I need something at the room. It doesn't feel like you're having to take an Uber, blocks away. I really enjoy Origins. I think it's a great show. It has always held a special place in my heart for completely unrelated reasons, but it's been a great show forever. It's a great way for me to kind of get out there, enjoy the company of others, talk to gamers, do some stuff. In this case, as I'll mention in a minute, play some games on stage. Just a general good time. That being said, one of the things about Origins is that it is always random as to what kind of show it's going to be. Here in America, we're dealing with some political garbage right now, and it is putting a lot of people on edge when it comes to the stuff that they want to spend on. People are worried about their jobs and the future of everything, and whether or not we are being plunged into a recession. Tariffs, all the like. And I do think that reflected a great deal in the sales at Origins. I talked to a lot of other booths. Some people said that they did just fine. Other people were like, this is the slowest Origins I've ever been at. We ourselves, at Warzone, this was our first Origins that we were selling at, and we did okay. Nothing, we didn't have anything that we didn't have at Adepticon. We didn't have anything outside of the Kickstarter wave, but it did still turn out just fine. We did okay. What that did show to us, though, is that and Alex and I talked quite a bit about how the booth needs to be displayed. Maybe we need some alterations to how things are being shown to the public. Do we always bring something big and flashy to show off in order to attract eyes to the booth, even if it's not something that we can sell? There's a lot of questions that came up, a lot of maybe things for next year. Several of us and the other miniature games companies that were at Origins. Origins is not really a miniature show. There's definitely some mini support, but it's kind of an all-comer show. There's some board games, there's some card games, there's some rooms dedicated to role-playing, there's some miniature games, but it's not, because it is put on by Gamma, it's not a show dedicated to one kind of facet of gaming, which makes things seem a little chaotic. What we were talking about, and hopefully we'll be able to make this work, is we wanted to see if next year, if we could find a way to talk the folks at Gamma into kind of how there's an artist alley of creating like a miniature games row. A place where all us mini gamers can set up our demo tables, can put up our booths in kind of one cluster, so those miniature gamers can go there and be like, that's where I'm headed, that's what I want to do, and nobody gets lost in the shuffle. It's just it's a concentrated form of miniature goodness. And also, it'd be great if you can put us closer to the where the games are being played, where the open gaming tables are, where the events are being played. It might be a little louder for us, but it could be a good way of making sure that the people, the customers, and the gamers can find all of us in one kind of good concentrated spot. Who knows if that'll happen? it's even if it doesn't, it's not a big deal. But we just like, they always ask. Gam always says, hey, what can we do better? Which, by the way, is an awesome way to run a show. Is always ask your people what's a way for us to make things better. And so we hopefully gave them that idea, and be nice to see it come to fruition. But we understand if it can't. It's not a make or break situation. Just would be kind of cool. On related notes, when it comes to Origins, it is an inexpensive show. Comparatively speaking, yes, I'm sure some companies saw the booth prices and stuff and went, but Gen Con is way more expensive. Some of the other bigger shows have got some pretty high ticket numbers, or high ticket value when it comes to getting people in the door. This is much more manageable, and it does mean that if you have mediocre sales, or sales that are just they do okay. Again, you do okay. It's not like a show that you are suddenly it's this massive loss. It's probably going to break even, maybe even a little better. So it's definitely worth looking into if you're a small company. You're also more likely to be able to get booth space. I was surprised during that first day, there were a number of booths that were empty, like the people didn't show up. And I know like the last time, like the deadline to getting that thing paid for is like back in May, I think. Back in May, maybe March. To think that people couldn't show up always makes me wonder, is there a family emergency? Something bad happen? Because it's not cheap for a small company to do these shows, and who knows? It's just so there were a few empties. I know some people moved like further booths that were having a hard time getting traffic. They moved their booths to closer ones for people who didn't show up. I know that happened after the first or second day. But either way, it's you do what you got to do to make these shows as profitable as possible, even if it's just for exposure. And I think collectively, Origins seemed to be a pretty good success for that. While I was at Origins, I had a couple business meetings, as you do. But game-wise, when I got there, my wonderful friends and colleagues over at Lynn Vander Studios and Six Sides of Gaming reached out and said, "Hey, you've got your live play characters. We've got 3 shows that you should be part of." So I talked to Alex, was like, "Hey, do you mind if I cut out a little early on these couple days and take this break in the middle of the day to go play some D&D?" And so we went and did stage shows. I did 3 stage shows, 2 as my Ursine barbarian kind of lawful derpy hero guy, Nuggle Honeysbane. I did 2 of those, one set in the Evil Dead universe and one in actual Emaria. The Evil Dead game, I don't know what had happened, but I did get an opportunity. It was myself, Tommy Gofton, and Justine Huxley, a voice actress from a bunch of different things, Apex Legends, whatnot, but also one of the stars of Squad 20, the Six Sides of Gaming most recent D&D show. Very cool. Go check it out. In fact, I will put a link up to the first episode in this video. But it was the first time I had a chance to ever meet Justine. She's amazing. And perhaps I'm being too forward, but I think we're friends now. We did the stereotypical "I'll follow you, you follow me," but actually, we've talked and commented on things. She's great. She's fantastic, and I love the character she plays. Anytime you get a chance to play with someone who really does kind of get into the fun of stage play, it always excels, or it always kind of radiates. But I will say this: our first show, I don't know if it was just bad timing or what, but our audience was nothing. It was all but non-existent, and we got about 25 minutes into the session when several of the audience members left, not because of us, but because they had other things to do, and it kind of brought our session to a close early, and we were all. It did give us an opportunity to sit and talk for a little while, but that's not what we were there for, and it was a little disappointing. It was kind of disheartening. We were like, God, I hope that the rest of these shows aren't like this. But again, it was nice to be able to get to talk to Justine. It was nice to kind of catch up with Tommy and Devin in this situation. Well, fast forward a day to our musical Emerian adventures. I am not musically inclined. I do believe that I can sing, but I don't. Not often. And definitely not like off the cuff, which playing Nuggle in a musical adventure is fine because Nuggle's kind of a big derp. So there are definitely instances where he might sing along, but it might be out of tune. He might sing along and it might be not on the right rhythm. And it's always good for a laugh when like a joke goes through and then ends up at my end of the table, and there's just kind of this blank Nuggle face. The audience almost always laughs. It's the, and I'm gonna be the one who does the, like it always it's a good thing, I think. That, and it's so hard to be in the shadow of greatness, so to speak. Devin is, if someone would tell me that he is destined for Broadway stage, I would not disagree. He's very musically inclined. He is utterly unafraid to sing in public, and has a host of just lyrics at the tip of his fingers. So having him there is always good because that you can kind of lean in on that. But it is also very intimidating if someone rolls out into an amazing sea shanty and then looks at you and your response is, but either way, it was awesome. And during that game, I got to, again, it was myself, Devin, Justine playing her character again, and the another amazing voice actress and Twitch streamer, Faye Mata, which was awesome. I had never met her before, and it was fun to get to play with new people and hear her go into her voices and things. It was very cool, very fun. I hope I was able to hold up my end of the table at those events. Yeah, I've done a little voiceover work. Yeah, I can do voices at the table, and I generally try to, but it is still pretty intimidating being at the table with legitimate, this is what they do voice actors. But I think I held my own, and we all got the right amount of laughs. We all got the right kind of the right kind of response from the audience. But it was during that game, dun dun dun. It was during that game that I made a boo-boo, and when Tommy runs his Amaria games, he often tries to get audience participation, which is great, where he'll do almost like a D&D Mad Libs, where he will reach into the audience and go, okay, give us a magic word, give us a creature, give us a setting, things that he's going to fit into his adventure in the moment. And then one of the things he does is, because worrying about inspiration during a 2-hour game on stage is silly. Instead, he asks the audience, is there something that the players can do to get a reroll during the game? And more often than not, sometimes it's they got a rhyme, or they have to say something, they have to sing a line of something, or they have to, wear their hat backwards, or whatever. They'll come up with something that's, I don't say normal, but kind of relatively easy and a little embarrassing. This crowd said, you can get a reroll if you roll on the floor. If I was a smart man, I would have, when it came to my time to not fall from the lighthouse, I should have grabbed my die and rolled it on the floor and tried to rules lawyer my way out of what I actually did, and what they actually meant was rolling on the floor. So, in order to get a laugh out of the audience, again, commit to the bit, I hopped out of my chair, I flopped down onto the hard riser stage and rolled around like a turtle on its back, begging the game master and the audience to give me a reroll to my saving throw. I was given the reroll. I managed to stay on. The saving throw worked. However, I am not as young and spry as I used to be. I am definitely still out of shape. And when I got back into my chair, I realized that something hurt. Something did not feel good. I didn't think about it. I rode the high on the adrenaline of the play and just enjoyed, got through the game, and just kind of realized, yeah, that's going to hurt in the morning. I could not have been more right. I threw out part of my back. I have had sciatic problems since a paintball injury in high school. And this was part of that. I don't know if it was my sciatic nerve. I don't know if it was if it was the disc that that is nearby, or if I had slowly ground one of my vertebrae to powder is what it felt like. But the next day, I was in a lot of hurt. I took a bunch of painkillers, and I made it through the day. Just pushed on through. During which time, I actually got my third and final live play of the day, which was a lot of fun. It was a Legacy of Worlds game. Legacy of Worlds is the Six Sides of Gaming series where people from the industry play iconic characters, whether it's an iconic character from a specific realm or it's an iconic character that they themselves created. Ed Greenwood plays Elminster. Keith Baker plays Merrick Tannis. Luke Gygax plays Melf. Melf the Elf that we all know and love. Tommy plays Loholt Lundvander. Elisa plays Elise, an icon from Ravenloft. There's just it is a very cool crew. It is a very awesome concept to mix all these iconic people together, and it's a level 20 game. It's designed to be this kind of super epic, the things you never see happen at in-game, and to see Devin try and foil them, to try and do things that level 20 epic characters have a hard time dealing with. It's a great show. And every time I get a chance to be on stage with Ed and Luke and Keith and those guys and play, I play Captain Berwick, a Spelljammer pirate from a very old module that I leveled up to 20 and kind of furthered his story in an effort to bring, while we have Eberron and Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk and Ravenloft all displayed and all shown at the world, or in the Legacy of Worlds, there isn't an iconic Spelljammer character. And so I went to Devin last year and was like, I would like to, if I can be part of Legacy of Worlds, I would love to, and I'd like to bring Captain Berwick, to the forefront. Which we did. We had a great time. It was a great show, and I can tick a box that say that I have played D&D with freaking Elminster, and that Ed and I are friends. It's so weird, but it's awesome. So Captain Berwick is my Legacy of Worlds character. All that being said, it is very weird to play Legacy of Worlds with it was just me and Tommy are the only Legacy characters. So Loholt and Berwick, and then Justine's character from Squad 20, and Feymada's character from her other live plays that she has played, Fifi. we were thrown into a very cool Ravenloft sort of dungeon crawl adventure thing. It was super cool. Devin did a great job. I would be lying to say that it is hard to keep up the gravitas that is Ravenloft, that kind of spooky, dreary, scary, the domains of dread, when you are playing with two very fun and chaotic and bubbly voice actresses and their characters. It's tough. We did it, and we had a good time, but it's still way more laughs than a Ravenloft game normally is. But we had a great time, and in fact, actually, Faye, she paid me a very nice compliment at the end of the adventure as we were packing up, where she really liked the character. She really liked Captain Bearwick, and it meant a lot to me to have someone point that out, because I don't want him to just be a generic fighter guy. I want him to actually be a part of Legacy of Worlds whenever I have a chance to actually do so. And to portray that sort of hard life privateer that now is at the not at the end of his adventures, but like staving off retirement. And it was very cool. And it was a great game. It was a fun game. The audience had a good time. We had a good time. And it was nice to play that character again. Even though Devin implied that the next time I play him, I might need to retain the copious amounts of damage that I took in an effort to... if I were to be completely honest, I think... Devin saw a 20th level fighter and went, I need to find a way to take him down a peg. So I think the next time I play him, I'm probably going to be coming right out of the mists into the next adventure. So I'm going to be awfully injured. But either way, it was a ton of fun, and that was the last live play that we did. And went back to the booth, and then the final day at the booth. Got to talk to Alex a lot about kind of some of the things that we want to do with future Warzone stuff. Started to kind of set up the plans on, we're getting really close to being at that point where we need to start talking about how far and how fast we release things. Yes, I've designed a ton of things that are either through playtesting or halfway into playtesting, but again, Resnova is a small company. It is Alex plus the people that he has contracted to help with things, and there is something to be said for a realistic release schedule, but there's also something to be said for a release schedule that keeps the players engaged and keeps them wanting to keep coming to the table and buying more stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of weighing and figuring out how that's going to work and how we're going to put that all together. We know pretty much what the first couple of releases are going to look like. We just need to get there to the point where we can release them. So it was a great conversation. It was great to get to spend a long period of time with him. I'm very much looking forward to doing it again at PAX Unplugged, because that far down the road, our retail should be up and running. We should have some more releases out. I'm very excited. The future for Warzone Eternal is looking very bright. I say that because at the show we had lots of people come to the booth and do some demos and stuff, but we had several sales that were what I call tier 2 sales. Basically, someone coming to the booth, not completely raw, not I saw your sign, I wanted to come over and see things, but I heard about this online. My friend got his Kickstarter in. I need to get my faction, or my buddy saw this, told me I need to come here. Basically, someone else, somewhere else, some other stimuli brought them to that booth for the sheer reason of getting stuff. And that happened several times at the show, and that means we're starting to get a footing. It means we're starting to be more than just a purchase of nostalgia and more than just a purchase of the moment. Like, it's actually something that people are planning for, which was awesome. That's such a good thing. And the more that line grows and the more footing it gets and the more access to being able to sell directly to retailers and such, all of that's just going to be, it's all just going to be pluses. It's all just, ticks in the pros column. So that was very good. The last day, however, my back was really not good. By the end of the day, I was wincing. I was obviously, puttering around, walking around like the oldest man in that room. Tearing down the booth was hard, but I got through it, and then I got in the car and made my 4-hour drive home. It was excruciating. Every time I hit a bump, my back would spasm. It was just rough. It was real rough. So by the time I got home, my lovely wife took wonderful care of me. Got a heating pad out to put on my back. I took some significantly strong painkillers, and now a couple days later, I'm feeling much better. The fact that I can do this and not be like, these are good things. And of course, as soon as I start getting over the back injury, the con crud starts to set in. I noticed last night I was shivering. I passed a COVID test, which is good, so no COVID, just regular everyday gross con crud. I have a wedding and a bachelor party coming up shortly, so I need to get through this. I need to get past it. But all of that, all of the hardship aside, it was a great Origins. It really, really was. I got to see several of my industry friends. I got to enjoy the company of many people. My convention family, some of them were there. But I will say this. One of the absolute highlights to my Origins comes in the form of one of my best friends from my college days, a gentleman by the name of Bryan Steele. Bryan Steele and I were absolutely thick as thieves when he lived down here. He is, obviously, but at that time, he was my rock when things got stupid around other situations. When our local game store kicked me out because they thought that I was stealing, which I wasn't, or thought that I was covering up for burglars. It since got taken care of, but Bryan was the one that was like, if you need something, I'll pick it up for you. I spent more time in Bryan and Chris's apartment than my own dorm room. The number of 3 o'clock in the morning late night strolls that took us miles away from campus, it's staggering. It was just it was the best friend that I always needed, at any given time. Well, fast forward many years, and he has since moved away. He lives down in North Carolina. And we get together digitally as most of the time every week. Occasionally we miss a week because of life gets in the way. But we get together on Xbox and we play a bunch of random stuff. Lately it's been a ton of Minecraft. Soon I'm sure it'll be Borderlands 4. It's just, he's always been like one of my closest confidants, and it's just great to stay connected. We realized that we hadn't actually seen each other in person in probably 6 years. It's definitely, the pandemic got in the way. He went to a Gen Con with his nephews back in the day, but it had been a long time. And he recently went through kind of a hard thing, and a couple weeks ago he was like, I'm thinking about going to Origins. And he managed to come up. He was working with a dice company that kept him very, very busy, but just getting to see him, just getting to give my friend a super hug, and then we managed to grab lunch once. We grabbed dinner and drinks. He got to hang out with us at the bar for a little while, which was awesome because I got to basically introduce him to a bunch of the people who I see all the time at conventions. it was so good to get to spend time with him. And it occurred to me that that's that's like part of the whole reason I do this, is to be able to create and maintain these connections. And that was my absolute, of all the other things that happened, my absolute highlight of Origins 2025 was getting to spend some time with with one of my best friends. And I hope that that trend continues. I also hope that he manages to score a decent gaming gig, because the dude's got serious technological props and coding props and things, and I think there's a lot of companies out there that could use his techno expertise and would get him into the industry. But either way, it was super good to see him, and I hope that he had as good a time as I did. That being said, I need to go take some meds and get through the rest of this workday. So, without further ado, please be safe. Wash your hands, get your shots, wear a mask, don't lick doorknobs, just try not to be a jerk, and leave every room a little happier than when you got there, and I think that it will be all right. Until next time, go check out the links in the description. Like, share, subscribe. You know how that goes. But more than anything, have fun, play some games. I'll see you next week, guys.